anyone. But as you can see, we are always being seeked out by others. So that makes a statement by itself, you know. But anyway, we're gonna go forward into our teaching tonight, and we're gonna show you guys how the Most High never changes and how He does things. And God has a structure. The Most High has a structure that He has put in place, and that's what He follows. I mean, He doesn't change. Okay? Now, we're going to begin in the book of Genesis chapter 17. And we're going to deal with one of our forefathers, Father Abraham. All right? We're going to start off with him, and then we just going to continually snowball on down, and then we're going to get down to the book of Ezekiel. All right? And once we get there, you will understand what the teaching is all about. Okay, and you also understand about what's all this chatter out here on the internet and all around and whatnot. You will find out that a lot of that is nothing but a bunch of bullshit, you know. But anyway, let's go forward into our teaching. We're at Genesis chapter 17, and this is about Abraham. We're gonna read from verses 1 down to verses 5. Okay, it said, and when Abraham was 90 years old and 9, that the Lord appeared unto Abram, and said unto him, I am the Almighty God. Walk before me and be thou perfect, and I will make my covenant between me and thee, and I will multiply thee exceedingly. Now God here is dealing with one man. He is talking to Abraham, and he is going to do all these things with one man. All right, now let's go forward here. Look what he says. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, with Abram, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made thee. See that? Now God is going to use one man, and He's going to perform this act. Now remember, God never changes. No matter whether He goes on for hundreds of thousands of years or millions of years, God never changes His program. All right, now let's go a little further. Let's look at Genesis chapter 17. Let's look at verses 19. Now watch this right here. It says, and God said to Sarah, thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him, for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. See, now God is leaving one man going to another in a dispensation of time. Now He's going to deal with Isaac here. Okay, now Isaac is one man, because once he leaves Abraham, then he's going to deal with Isaac. Okay, now God has said that he's going to establish His covenant with Isaac and his seed. Okay, now let's go a little further. Let's go to Genesis 22, chapter 22. Now let's watch this right here, my brothers and sisters. Genesis chapter 22. Let's look at verses 7 through 17. Let's look at that. It says, and Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, my father. And he said, here I am, my son. And he said, behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Now, here, I'm going to just tell you about the story here, then we're going to move on. God has told Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. Okay, now they're at the point now where they're up on the mountain. They didn't get all the firewood for the sacrifice to God, but God has already said that He is going to do it. We just read it. He's going to establish His covenant with Isaac. Okay, now let's read verse 8. It says, and Abraham said, my son, God will provide Himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. And we're going to read on down here. I said we're going to read down to verse 17. It says, and they came to the place which God had told him of, and Abraham built there an altar there, and laid wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar up on the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took a knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called on out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And he said, Lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou feared God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a ram caught in the thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered up for the burnt offering. Okay, let's jump on down, and we're going to look at verse. Let's jump on down to here to verse 15 and 16. It says, And the angel of the Lord called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time, and said, By myself have I swore, said the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, that only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and I will multiply thy seed, as the stars of the heaven, as the sand which is upon the seashore, and that seed shall possess the gates of his enemy. Now, God here is still dealing with one man, but he asked him to offer up his only son, and he was going to offer him up to the Most High, and the Most High said, because of that, everything after you're going to be blessed, all your seeds is going to be blessed, because God is still dealing with one man. Now, let's go a little further here. Let's go to Genesis 32. See, because we need to see what's transpiring here. And let me just say this right here. If you go on the internet, which I don't search the web, but I know different ones that do, and there's a lot of they have informed me that there's a lot of them out there that's talking about this, a lot of them talking about that, a lot of them talking about this. There's no organization at all. Everybody it's all in disarray. Everybody just doing their own thing. But see, but God has one man that He's gonna do this thing too. One man. Now we're gonna get on down the lesson, and I'm showing you how God has set up structure for to carry out His plan. He uses one man. Now let's go here a little further. We just did Genesis 22. Now let's look at Genesis 32 here, and we're gonna look at verse 24. And read on down. Now it says, now we're talking about Jacob. Now we're leaving Isaac, now we're going to Jacob. It says, and Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the break of day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall no longer thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince thou hast power with God and with man, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore is it that thou doest ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of that place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Now, we see here, again, God is dealing with who? One man. Now we're down to Jacob, which is why his name is changed from Jacob to Israel. Now, to make a long story short, we see here that through Jacob, the 12 tribes are going to be born. They're going to come into existence. Why? Because Jacob is going to have 12 sons. All right, now, that being said, he's still dealing with how many men? One man. That one man is who? Jacob. All right, now, let's go a little further here. We're going to look at Genesis 35. Let's look at verses 9. We're going to read verses 9. God appeared unto Jacob again, and when he came out of Paddan-aram, and blessed him, and God said unto him, Thy name is Jacob, thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel. And God said unto him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins. Who is he dealing with? How many men is he dealing with? One man, talking about Jacob. He said, in the land which I gave Abraham and Isaac, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed after thee I will give the land. See that? All these blessings is coming upon everybody after Jacob because of who? Jacob. Now, let's go a little further here. He says, and 13 says, and God went up from him in the place where he talked with him. And Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he talked with him, even a pillar of stone. And he poured a drink offering thereon, and he poured oil thereon. And Jacob called the name of the place where God spoke with him Bethel. Now we see here again, all this is transpiring, but God is only dealing with who? One man. All right, now let's fast forward. Let's go over here to the book of Exodus. We're going to look at Exodus, the 2nd chapter. Let us go to verses 23. All right, Exodus chapter 2, verse 23. He says, and it came to pass in the process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sight by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage. And God heard their groans, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and with Jacob. God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them. All right, we're going to jump down here to chapter 3. Let's read on down here to chapter 3. Now, we're going to start with let's read over it. Let's read start with verse 1. It says, now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and had led the flock to the backside of the desert, and came unto the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned without fire, and the bush was not consumed. Now, I'm going to stop there for a minute because I want you guys to think about what we're reading. This bush was consumed with something, looked like fire, but it wasn't fire. But it never burned up. So we can see that there is outside activity here into our little world. This is a supernatural event that here is taking place. All right, now, and Moses sees that this thing is great. You know what I mean? Because this shouldn't be. Then he says here, and Moses said, I will not turn aside to see this great sight, while the bush is not burned. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush, and said, Moses, Moses.